What if the most comforting end times teaching many Christians were given was never actually taught by Jesus? What if the doctrine that promised escape was never meant to prepare believers for faithfulness, but instead left them vulnerable to collapse? And what if Matthew 24, the very chapter often used to defend the rapture, actually dismantles it? Let's slow down. Let's listen to Jesus, and let Scripture speak for itself. Now, before you misjudge me or what I am saying, let me be very clear about what I am saying and what I am not saying. When I argue against the doctrine of the rapture, I am not arguing against the return of Jesus Christ. I believe in the Parousia of Christ. I believe that Jesus will appear again. I believe he will appear in the sky. I believe his appearing will be visible, glorious, and unmistakable. I believe that believers will be called to him. That is not the issue. The issue is what happens next. The doctrine of the rapture teaches that after Jesus appears, he will secretly remove believers from the earth, take them into heaven for 3.5 to 7 years, reward them there, while the earth below descends into chaos and judgment. But that sequence is never taught by Jesus in Matthew 24. When Christ appears in the sky, that moment is not a rehearsal. It is not a preview. It is not a hidden phase of his return. It is the second coming, one appearing, one arrival. And when believers meet him in the air, Scripture describes that meeting with a specific idea, Apantesis, a meeting to welcome, a meeting to escort. In the ancient world, when a king or victorious general approached a city, the people would go out to meet him and then escort him back into the city in celebration. They did not leave the city behind. They did not disappear into the countryside. They returned with the king. This is how Scripture presents our meeting with Christ. Believers rise to meet him, not to abandon the earth, but to welcome the king as he comes to reign. So when I say I am debunking the rapture, I am not denying Christ's coming. I am denying a two-stage return that Scripture never teaches. I am denying a secret removal that Jesus never describes. I am denying the idea that believers escape tribulation while the world is left behind in confusion. What I am affirming is this: Jesus comes once. He comes visibly. He comes gloriously. He comes as King. Believers meet him. Believers welcome him. Believers reign with him. This is not escapism. This is victory. And Matthew 24 does not point us toward disappearing from the world. It points us toward endurance, faithfulness, and hope until the King himself arrives. Then Jesus makes something unmistakably clear. His coming will not be hidden. It will not be secret. It will not be misunderstood. This is argument number 1 against the doctrine of the rapture from Jesus' Mount of Olives discourse. Those who argue for the rapture tell us this: Jesus will appear, but quietly. Believers will vanish, but secretly. And the world will wake up confused, staring at empty clothes, empty cars, and unanswered questions. The Left Behind movies take it even further. They imagine a disappearance so silent, so hidden, that humanity won't even know what happened. But then Jesus speaks, and Matthew 24 shatters that picture, because what Jesus describes is not secret, it is not silent, and it is not misunderstood. Matthew 24 says otherwise.
As lightning flashes from the east to the west, so will the coming of the Son of Man be.
Lightning does not whisper. It does not need interpretation. It announces itself. He goes further.
The tribes of the earth will mourn, and they will see the Son of Man coming on the clouds.
This is visible, global, undeniable. And then comes the trumpet, a loud trumpet, not silence, not disappearance, not confusion. This is not left behind. This is seen, heard, and witnessed. Matthew 24 leaves no room for a secret rapture. Before we continue, help us make sure this teaching reaches those who need it. If you believe Scripture alone is our final authority, type sola below. And like and share this video so sound doctrine doesn't get buried under noise. And if Christ's coming is not secret, then neither is the suffering he warned his followers about. One of the strongest arguments for the rapture is this, that Jesus will use it to spare believers from tribulation. That while the world collapses into chaos, Christians will be safely removed, feasting at a great banquet in heaven, receiving rewards for 7 peaceful years. Escape, shelter, safety. But then we read Matthew 24, and Jesus says something far less comfortable.
You will be delivered to tribulation. There will be great tribulation.
Not spoken to outsiders, not spoken to the world, spoken to his disciples. Matthew 24:9 and Matthew 24:21 leave no room for illusion. Believers are not absent from tribulation. They are present in it. And that leads us to argument number 3. The elect, the Christians, the church, are present, not absent, during the Great Tribulation. And this strikes at the heart of one of the strongest arguments for the rapture. We are told that God would never allow his children to go through tribulation, that Christians will already be gone, safe in heaven, receiving rewards while the earth burns below. But then Jesus says something that many people rush past.
But for the sake of the elect, those days will be shortened.
Jesus says the days are shortened for the sake of the elect. He is saying they are still here, not gone, not removed, not absent. If the church were already raptured, there would be no reason to shorten the days for their sake. The grammar assumes presence. The logic demands endurance. The fourth argument cuts straight through the assumption that has been quietly smuggled into the text. Gather does not mean a 7-year sabbatical. Proponents of the rapture rush to Matthew 24:31 and say, there it is, the rapture. But not so fast. Jesus says the elect will be gathered. He does not say they will be hidden away. He does not say they will be taken to heaven for years. He does not say the earth is abandoned while believers celebrate elsewhere. Gather means gather. Nothing more, nothing less. There is no timeline attached, no duration stated, no destination given. To turn gather into a 7-year escape requires importing an entire system from outside Matthew 24. And now, the picture becomes even clearer. This is Apantesis, a meeting. In the ancient world, when a king returned, citizens went out to meet him and escorted him back in triumph. This is how Matthew 25 describes the virgins meeting the bridegroom. This is how victorious generals were welcomed. This is not an evacuation. This is a celebration, a meeting to welcome, a meeting to escort. They did not leave the city behind. They did not disappear into the countryside. They returned with the king. This is how Scripture presents our meeting with Christ. Believers meet Christ in the sky, not to flee the earth, but to escort the king to reign. Believers rise to meet him, not to abandon the earth, but to welcome the king as he comes to reign. And this brings us to the fifth argument, the one that may be the most familiar of all, the Noah's flood analogy. This is where many defenders of the rapture dig in their heels. They point to Jesus' words,
One will be taken, and the other left.
And say, there it is. In fact, that very phrase became the title of the Left Behind movies. The argument goes like this. In Noah's day, when Jesus wanted to describe people being removed for destruction, he used one Greek word, airo. But when he speaks of one being taken in the field or at the mill, he uses a different word, paralambano. And from that difference, they build an entire doctrine of escape. But when the Noah analogy is studied carefully, when the context is allowed to speak, that argument does not stand. It falls flat. Because in Noah's day, the ones who were taken away were the ones judged. The ones who remained were the ones who entered the new world. Jesus says,
As it was in the days of Noah, so it will be.
He does not reset the analogy. He applies it. Then 2 men in a field, 2 women at a mill. Ordinary life. No warning, no countdown. One is taken along, one is left. And then Jesus drives the point home. Stay awake. Why? Because this coming is not comforting like a rescue helicopter. It's dangerous like a thief in the night. If the master knew the hour, he would have stayed awake, but he didn't. That's the warning. The shock is not in the sky, it's in the normalcy. Fields, mills, work, life, until suddenly, separation. So the Greek is clear, the words are simple, and the text refuses to let us smuggle ideas into it. Gather means gather. Taken along means taken along. Taken away means taken away. And none of those words by themselves spell rapture. That idea has to be argued from elsewhere. Here, Jesus is doing something far more unsettling. He is saying the end will come quietly, suddenly, in the middle of ordinary life. And the difference will not be who knew the theory. It will be whoever is ready. B4F family, thank you for staying with us this far. It is because of people like you that we can churn out content like this. Content that is not designed to entertain, but to equip, to ground, and to prepare. And that brings us to why all of this matters. Teaching a doctrine the Bible never taught is dangerous because when believers face tribulation that they were told would never come, they may think they were rejected. They may think they were forgotten. They may think they failed, and some may fall away. But if we teach what Jesus actually taught, that endurance comes before glory, then believers will tighten their belts, stand firm, and persevere. Jesus said it plainly.
And the one who endures to the end shall be saved.
This is not denying Christ's Parousia. Jesus will appear. Believers will meet him. But when he comes, that moment is the second coming, not a secret rehearsal. He comes as king, and his people welcome him home. If you found value in this video, like it and subscribe to Basis for Faith for biblically sound content like this. Remain rooted in Scripture until we bring you another video. Be blessed.